What's going on? What's going on? Today I'm joined by Mr. B once more. Another Tuesday, another chill session with Mr. B. We're going to be chatting about MMA today and a little bit about training as well. I just got back from boxing. How you doing, Mr. B? What's going on?
Yeah, all good, all good, all good.
Good to hear, Kazi.
How you been after your training?
To be honest, after training, I'm feeling a little bit disappointed in myself. I gotta say, I've been getting lots of cramps in my legs in the middle of the session. I think I just haven't drank enough water. I was gonna ask you about that actually. Like, what is it you think that I can do to try and avoid that in future?
Well, first off, you shouldn't really be drinking in between your sessions if you want to be old school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not during training.
Yeah.
And then because that means you haven't hydrated properly before. Do all your hydration beforehand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you need to take a little sip of water, you take the sip of water and you hold it in your mouth. You don't swallow it. If you know it's boxers, then they swallow water, they always spit it out.
Yeah. True.
Your body's digesting all this anyway. Secondly, the more importantly, cramping I think is more to do with your salts and electrolytes and stuff like that. So not necessarily how much fluids you've taken on.
Yeah.
So do a little bit of research yourself, but
Yeah, I checked on Google actually the other day, and it's like you can make a homemade kind of isotonic drink with water, salt, lemon, I think ginger. I don't have ginger, so I didn't manage to put that one in. Honey as well. So I kind of just made that drink. I got it here in front of me now actually. I've just been kind of sipping on that, trying to get ready. Yeah.
I was going to say exactly that. But the one I used to make would be basically, I think 50% orange juice, 50% water.
Yep.
And then I used to put like some pinch of salt in there. Can't remember. I think that was it basically.
Yeah.
That was basically it. Basically, it's just like that, the fluids together with the natural sugars, together with some salt, which is the electrolytes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think that it helps with the recovery, doesn't it? Because when you sweat, like you lose the salt in your.
I used to drink it beforehand, not after.
Beforehand. Oh, not after.
Yeah. I used to do my hydration beforehand. So I drink it, let's say on my way to training, I'd gulp that down. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Just make sense in getting the fluids into my body before I started my training.
Yeah, I hear that.
Training didn't matter if it was 2 hours, 3 hours. I wouldn't drink. I trained myself not to drink water during training. As a discipline thing as well. But then the body starts to, you hunker down. The body gets into that good mood. It never affected my training in that sense. I'm sure scientifically they might say different things, and I'm not adverse to that. If you need to take a little sip here and there, cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. For me, like, I don't need to particularly drink during training. It's just, just the cramps, man. That they let me down today. We're doing skipping, and when I got around to the skipping, like, as soon as I started skipping on one leg went, so I was trying to skip on the other leg, and then the other leg went as well. So I was just like, let me just get back on the heavy bag and just kind of knack on my arms out and stuff. The good thing is everyone's starting out the same because the amateur boxing season has just started, so it's kind of good in that sense. Let me just say hello to people as well. We've got Printed in the house. He says, Aiden, I broke my leg, bro. What happened to your leg, man? Tell us about it. And we got Surfy as well. He says, hey guys, what's going on? Welcome. Yeah, welcome to the stream. I'm joined with Mr. B today, and we're going to be chatting about UFC 279, Nate Diaz, Khamzat Chimaev. Where's Khamzat Chimaev going to go with his career? I've reading about, he's thinking about going middleweight and trying to go for that crown. Is he a threat to Izzy? And then we'll chat a bit about Anderson Silva as well. I'm 47 years old, but he's still going, bro. He's still going. So, Kanzi, what did you think of the event, UFC 279? Give us a breakdown.
I don't want to be cliche, but I think it turned out better than the original card, to be honest with you. Khamzat Chimaev against Nate Diaz was going to be a good fight. Do you know what I'm saying? It was going to be interesting, but it was only going one way anyway. I think Nate versus Tony Ferguson was a better fight in all.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I felt like the matchup would have made for a better fight. And you can see it was a good fight anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? Mama mashed up his legs on the thing. And I think Tony Ferguson could have done more in that fight. But just talking about UFC overall generally, and then I think the other fight, Kevin Holland versus Khamzat, I think that was perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
After all of the incident that happened I think Nate Diaz tried to jump in on that. That weren't his thing. That was those two. Do you know what I'm saying? And for them to squash it in the ring was I think that worked well. I think that all in all it worked out.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? I mean, it was Friday was just hectic. Like literally, the card was falling apart. Khamzat didn't make weight by 7 or 8 pounds, and then they just managed to move it around and get the card, back to life, kind of thing. And it was quite good actually because I think the Khamzat that we saw against Nate, if he fought Nate, I think Nate would have got butchered, man. It would not have been a pretty sight, especially because Nate's a lightweight, Khamzat's a middleweight, welterweight, but he's actually kind of middleweight as well. Whereas Nate has always kind of floated around lightweight, come up briefly to fight Conor McGregor at welterweight. But on the whole, he's not really a big guy, is he? So it was good to see him against Tony Ferguson. I think Nate Diaz is hinting at going into boxing. Maybe Conor McGregor is going to be a potential fight. Yep.
So if they split the main card now, so the main card was Nate Diaz versus Khamzat Chimaev, yeah? Well, they split it. So now whose fight were you looking forward to watching? Were you looking forward to watching Nate's fight versus Ferguson, or were you looking forward to Khamzat's fight versus Holland?
To be honest, I think for me it was a Nate fight, man. I kind of had a feeling Khamzat would probably just power through. But I wanted to see Nate Diaz against... Nate fight, 100%. Any day of the week, man. Nate Diaz, big fan. Nate and Nick, the Diaz brothers, man, absolute legends. Yeah. And we've got Jake Paul coming up again, fighting again. Now this time he's fighting Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva, 47 years old. Jake Paul, late 20s, I think, mid-20s. A lot of power in that rear hand. Anderson Silva, a lot of slick head movement. But again, he's a lot older now. I don't know, like, how many rounds is it going to be? I'm not sure exactly, but... yeah, that's going to be quite a dangerous fight for Anderson. What's your take on that one?
Well, they're not going 12 rounds, so I don't think age is going to come into it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because age only comes into it if you're talking about maybe, people talk about reflexes or talk about speed of this and speed of that. I don't think you're going to see that too much until you get in later on in the rounds. You know what I'm saying? People tend to slow down a little bit more. But you'd be surprised at how quick a 47-year-old can be these days. You know what I mean? Like Anderson Silva ain't slow, and over, what is it, 3 rounds they're fighting? 4 rounds, 5 rounds, 6 rounds? I don't know if it's max is a 6-round fight. It's probably a 6-round fight.
It's going to be 6 round, yeah. Usually they are.
Do you know what I'm saying? Jake Paul has dived into the deep end with Anderson Silva, because Anderson Silva is not a wrestler. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what he's done so far when he's fought UFC people. He's fought wrestlers. And then he said, yeah, I beat a UFC fighter. When the reality is he's beaten a wrestler. You get me? So now he's coming up against someone who's got some stand-up ability. Do you know what I'm saying? So let's see what happens. I think Anderson Silva is going to
smash him about, isn't it?
Him up, bro.
I think so as well. It's 3 by 8 minute rounds. 8 by 3 minute rounds. So it's going to be a long fight. And I think, nice. Anderson's got a lot of time to work. I think Jake, he's going to be looking for that power punch, but Anderson's got flow, man. Like, Anderson's always had flow. That's, it's rare for an MMA fighter. Like, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he has flow as well. Who else? I mean, Anthony Pettis, he has flow. And Anderson Silva's one of them. Like, Bobby Green as well, he's got good flow. Anderson Silva's just one of them guys. Jake Paul doesn't have flow. Like, I watch him, he's quite clunky. Obviously, he has that good setup for that rear hand. That's kind of his weapon, but yeah, man, when he starts feeling them jabs from Anderson Silva, I don't think he's going to want any of that smoke, to be honest. So we'll see what happens with that. One of the guys in the chat is saying he's hurt his leg. He's dropped a weight dumbbell on his foot. What's a quick way of recovery? Do you know any sort of methods that he could look at? Gone to the ER to get it wrapped.
Depends on how heavy the weight was. If he thinks he's broken a bone, then for real you need to go to A&E. But I mean, if it's not broken, which you can judge that more or less. You know what I'm saying? But let's assume it's not broken. The first thing you do, and it sounds so childish, but the first thing you should do is rub it.
Really?
So when you're rubbing it, you don't use your fingers, because in Chinese mythology, let's call it, they say that the tips of the fingers have bad chi. So you use the palm of your hand or your thumb, but basically your palm. So you just rub it. Let's say it's like your shin or whatever, or your arm. You just rub it with the palm. What that does scientifically is it releases it concentrates the body to that area, releasing whatever it needs to do to either calm the pain down or reduce the inflammation, or etc. And in Chinese, they're saying it's chi, you're bringing chi to them. But effectively, the first thing you do is rub it, which sounds childish, but you do it. That's what you do. And instinctively, if you notice when you bash something, that's what you do.
Like Jackie Chan films and stuff, whenever he bumps his leg or something, he's like, Just
remember that the old adage that they used to tell you, this is, the Chinese never did this, but they say you to use like ice packs and stuff like that. They've even stopped saying that now, because in Chinese, what they're saying is you need to bring blood and chi to the area. So that's why rubbing, movement, cold and hot differences. So you bring cold, then you bring hot, then you put cold, then you put hot. Why? Because you're trying to bring a difference to the area. You're not just trying to reduce inflammation using the cold.
Right. Yeah. So can
So, so for that particular one, also, if it's not broken, there's red flower oil, which you can get from any Chinese shop. And sometimes they even have herbal plasters that you can get on modern style. It's just take the back off and put it on, and it kind of does the job as well. And I've used them many times for healing bruised ribs and, any kind of stuff like that. So
is that similar to like in Thailand when they have the Thai oil? They kind of rub it on there to get.
Very similar. But the red flower oil, I don't know the exact ingredients, but you can get it from the Chinese shop. It's not like the stuff that you'd use like Tiger Balm necessarily for just making something hot, which I think might just have menthol and stuff like that in it. Red flower oil is different, and it kind of it's almost like it burns a little bit. But yeah, it's good for bruising and stuff like that. If you go to a Chinese shop, they know.
Okay. Bringing it back to the UFC, what do you think of Leon Edwards? Did you watch his fight? Did you see what he did against Kamaru Usman? And where do you think he kind of fits in the welterweight division? He's from Birmingham. I mean, I don't know how much you know about him. Yeah, but what are your thoughts on him? He's one of my favorite fighters, to be honest. Now, just the way that he overcome that adversity in the 5th round, one of the biggest UFC fights of the year, I've got to say.
That's the thing with stand-up fighters. Like if you're still on your feet, you've always got a chance because if you've got like one punch, one kick, knockout power. Any second you can over the fight, any second, and that's what he did. And people who don't fight or whatever, or who are amateur to a certain degree and don't know about setting up particular moves, you don't have to be an expert. If you have a particular move that's your go-to move, for example, or you train that in your camp, because you've seen a floor or whatever, which in his case he did, then that's what you do. You set people up, and it can happen at any time in the fight. You just see the opening because you've done it so many times, whether through repetition of your own doing or because you've seen the floor and you've trained it with your trainer. When that moment comes, do you understand what I'm saying? He throws it knowing that, boom, boom, I'm going to go, boop, boop. I'm going to go, boop, boop. And then from the back of that, I'm just going to throw because I know he leans that way. And it's just going to come right behind it. And you don't see it coming. It's not like you go 1, 2, and then you pull back and throw the kick. It's 1, 2, and the kick from where the hip is coming, where the shoulder's coming through and the hips coming through, the legs already following. So it's like a flick from the top. Imagine the top to the bottom to the middle to the wherever, all the way through. And that's what followed through. And he leaned straight into it. And that's horrible. From that second, from the split second it touched him, everything was lights out.
Yeah, and what do you think will happen? They got a trilogy fight. So in the first fight, I think Kamaru Usman won it. I think got a decision, and then the second one obviously got knocked out. Do you think in the third fight the advantage is in the champion? What do you think about the mindset of a champion as well? Does it affect them if they have the belt?
I think Kamaru Usman's going to come back and win. I think the trilogy fight, Kamaru Usman's going to win, and if he doesn't win, then he shouldn't be talking about no GOAT status. Now, to be honest with you, I know lots of people big him up. I've never ranked him as in GOAT status. I haven't. Do you know what I'm saying? I just don't think he's rounded enough to be called the GOAT. He might have beaten everyone in his division, but there's plenty of people out there that would do him, is what I'm trying to say. And when I classify a GOAT, let's say that the types of people we're classifying as like your Khabibs, your Anderson Silvas, your blah, blah, blah. I'm saying the type of people that I'm thinking there isn't that many people in the world that could beat them. Whereas Kamaru Usman, I do think, do you understand what I'm saying? Because he's not that well-rounded. You just find the flaw in his game and blah, blah, blah. Whereas the fighters, I'm talking about these GSPs, they're well-rounded enough to say that, well, where's the flaw in their game that you're going to exploit? If you've got to be better than them, then cool if you're better than them. But, that's what I'm classifying as GOAT.
Yeah, fair enough. I agree with that. I've got a couple comments in the chat. Let me just catch up. Sophie asks, who's Mr. B's favorite fighter? Rhino goes, don't let him bully your son. That's Leon Edwards' coach, legendary line. Leon Edwards, he was coach, was just slapping him confidence back into the guy. That was amazing to see. Jaguar King in the house says, it's the Kung Fu master. Nice to catch the stream. Jaguar, welcome to the stream. Everyone welcome. Rhino, Sophie, printed, Fish Pan as well. What's going on, guys? And Jaguar's got a second question. He says, I want to ask his opinions on MMA guys hating Bruce Lee and traditional martial arts. So the first question is, who's your favorite fighter? Second question is, MMA fighters shitting all over Bruce Lee. What do you think about
that? So I have to say my favorite fighter of all time, MMA, is GSP. I can't lie. I just, I know he's old school from back in the day, but he's been in the game for so long. So I've been watching this from when it first started, those first 1 or 2s when there was eye gouging and stuff. And our GSP has always been that honorable, whatever he was, that karate style and all of that. And I don't know, just like the way he carried himself. I know outside the ring, there's certain allegations that, like he was potentially enjoyed the company of women, you know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. And maybe even had some illegitimate kids. I don't even know, whatever. That's a different story. But yeah, fighter-wise, he's my favorite fighter. But I mean, currently, there's a lot of fighters on the roster. And I think I like Khamzat. I think he's a good fighter. Do you know what I'm saying? Kind of like how he's doing his thing. Second question, the Bruce Lee one, yeah? Boom. I don't think there's that many fighters that are dissing Bruce Lee. I mean, there's even Dana White saying he's the father of MMA. He's quoted Dana saying as he's the father of MMA. And most of them fighters on the roster, either their dads showed them Bruce Lee films or they watched Bruce Lee films themselves and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. Whoever's hating on Bruce Lee, they're crazy. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think it's just people like on forums, like internet. They're like, if Bruce Lee was in MMA now, he would get taken down and armbarred, etc., etc. I've heard that kind of rhetoric over the years.
From the 1970s or 60s or whatever, and putting him in the ring now. Do you know what I'm saying? That's crazy. I tell you what, take their dads or their granddads and put them in the ring against Bruce Lee. Then it's more of a fair thing. But if you're talking about now, I'm guaranteeing the pioneer that he was, the way that he did things, and he was the originator of MMA in the famous way we're talking about, in the fact that he said there's no styles, and he went away and learned judo and wrestling and fencing and all these different styles and amalgamated it together and said you shouldn't have a style, whatever works for your body, and all these kind of philosophical things tell you that his philosophies taken now would exactly fit. So he would be learning all the things. He'd be learning jiu-jitsu, he'd be learning this. Who's to know what he was? And on top of that, physical prowess-wise, he was very, very physically gifted. There's many, many stories of him kicking like massive heavy bags that people were just able to move, the rocking ones, not the ones that hang from the ceiling, the rocking ones. So they're like cone shaped, yeah? So they rock when you move them. There's only one guy who could rock it, whatever, and he was able to topple it over, stories like that, and how he was able to hold certain weights out on like directly in front of him, etc. where people were like they could barely kind of like curl them and stuff like that. So he had certain things that he had ways of training that, and what I mean, he's to be respected, I feel.
Yeah, do you think as well, like he was quite sharp in the mind as well, wasn't he? He must have, I don't know, I believe that maybe he overcome some of the physical barriers just through the use of the mind, which actually could go off on a tangent there. When it comes to combat sports, what do you think the good mindset is for training? Because I'm training at the moment, and it's kind of like, what I'm finding is I'm hitting the bag, but I feel like I'm developing sort of non-fast twitch muscle fibers, but I'm trying to get to the end of the round. I don't want to embarrass myself by going really ham on the bag for like 10 seconds, 20 seconds and then getting knackered. But Bas Rutten said, you got to go ham on the bag for 10, 20, 30 seconds, build it up. Whereas I'm not sure what kind of mindset I need to be in to achieve that. What do you think I should be doing to try and, focus in on, especially get rid of distractions and stuff like that? What is there any kind of mantras or something that I could use, or what did you do during training to stay focused?
I always enjoy training. That's the first thing. So, like hard training. I don't know. So, but one thing that I remember from my very, very early days, and my Shifu Yenza never used to really say it towards the ends as much. Like it was a different kind of vibe and with different. But in the beginnings, when there was, the class was small, it was just us. He always used to say at the beginning of the class the same thing. Very beginning, before we'd started, he would line us all up and blah, 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 and he'd do deep breathing. And then he'd say, prepare your mind for hard training. Yeah. So what he's saying is basically, and he explained it afterwards, he was like, you come here to the class and you're here for 1 hour. You've come. It's 8 o'clock, you finish at 9 o'clock. You know what you're doing, yeah, for 1 hour. So prepare your mind. From when you start that hour, know from when until 9 o'clock, I'm going to train hard. Yeah. No matter what's happening, what this is, blah, 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 I'm going to push through it. I'm going to prepare your mind. If you do that at the beginning, then you're prepared for what comes. Do you understand? Whereas if you go into it loosely, then you start saying, I'm going to whatever. Whereas if you've got it, you've already, the mindset is set. So you've gone into it, right, I'm going to, and then something's happening and you're focused on it because you've set your priorities in your subconscious as well as your conscious. And you keep doing that. you stop distracting yourself with things. You prepare yourself properly. You do your breathing. So at the beginning, always have like you know how people repetition brings like a things away from the front of the mind into the back of the mind. Yeah. So you do them automatically. That's what repetition does, right? So if you start your lesson the same way, or your training the same way, in that you, for example, do 3 deep breaths at the beginning, you close your eyes and then you focus your mind for just 2 seconds and you just think. And then when you open your eyes, it's like, boom, I'm ready. If you do that every time, even if it's faked the first few times, or whatever, if you keep doing that, then eventually it becomes real, because your intentions become the reality. You know what you want to do it. Right. And then you keep down that mantra. So the focusing part of it happens beforehand, setting yourself. Don't allow yourself to be distracted in between. And when things happen and whatever, and people, whatever, yeah, it's cool. If you want to jump in and out of it, understand that it's almost like you're still in the zone, but you're allowing yourself to come out of it. So yeah, hey, yeah, cool. And then just boom, back on it, boom, back to the focus, back to the focus, back to the focus, back to the focus, you know?
Yeah. Okay, I'll try that. I'm definitely gonna, got a session tomorrow, so I'm gonna go maybe before, when I'm in the car park or something, just practice some little, maybe the deep breathing, 3 of them, and just try and
just right before. So it's 9 o'clock, just literally just before you do it, you close your eyes and you just tell yourself, right, I'm gonna train hard today. You know, you tell yourself, no one else is listening. No one, you can't fake it to no one. You're talking to yourself alone in your head. You don't have to say it out loud or anything. You just close your eyes and you make sure you say it properly, that I'm gonna do some hard training today. Today's going to be a good day of training. I'm going to sweat. I'm going to do a good one. You make sure it happens.
Okay, I'll try that. Yeah, no, that's really good actually. I want to do that. Jaguar had a question about traditional martial arts as well. He's saying, what are your opinions on traditional martial arts? And he asked if you have any video games, fighting ones from back in the day that you like.
So I used to like Double Dragon. You know, there's certain moves that used to, the same elbow moves. You know, like back in the day, the games were like a bit glitchy like that. Do you know what I'm saying? You caught the little thing, you know. So rather than using the 10 different moves that you had, you could just run forward. And then when someone comes, you just use the elbow and then run the other way and just elbow them again, you know, and get through the levels, and just mad little stupid games like that. But obviously the Street Fighters and blah, blah, blah. And I remember when Mortal Kombat came out, and even though it was like, you know how I remember that they took pictures of people and they kind of freeze framed it. So every move that the guy made was like a freeze frame picture of the thing. I don't know if you remember Mortal Kombat from back then.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it.
Yeah, them kind of crazy, stupid games from then. But I lost up the first part of the question.
And traditional martial arts, what do you think? Are they still relevant in the modern day?
It's a bit of a loaded question, really, because, you know, when we say traditional martial arts,
like Wing Chun, he's saying
traditional meaning like there's like gaps and things like that. So when we look at it that way, we have to think, well, martial arts are martial arts. So back in the day of, say, China, where this guy is always fighting on a horse, I better learn how to use a spear because I ain't got a horse, and so spears are good for so my martial art is good for me. But if I took that spear fighting and went to somewhere else, it wouldn't work. So we're living in a world now where we're able to take all of these different pieces. And Bruce Lee was the first to kind of bring that out. But so the traditional ones, if they want to stick to, no, spear fighting is the best, well, spear fighting is not going to work if you're in a different environment, or if you understand? But we still want to keep these kind of styles because we don't know when they're going to be useful. And I mention it to people all the time who criticize traditional martial arts because everything is getting whittled down into, you know, like, this is the core, this is all we need. Hold on a second. Like I've said to people a million times, don't diss traditional martial arts for what they can still bring to the table. Although that they're outdated, and like we said, the spears or the this or that move or this move or whatever it is, yeah, you know, now we can start fighting, you know, whatever. They still have, like, for example, I think it was, who's that fat dude in the UFC the other day who did the kick and knocked someone out. Yeah, I literally said that to someone the other day, maybe even on the podcast when we were together. Yeah, and I said that how the traditional arts, how they're used now, people don't understand. It's the person who uses them that's important, not the move. People say, oh, spinning kicks will never work, or high kicks never work. You can only use low kicks until the guy front kicks someone in the face. Remember we said that? Yeah, or like that guy did exactly in the UFC. He turned around, he did a fake low kick and carried the movement forward and carried it and did that is a direct Shaolin move. Direct. Do you understand? So you fake and then boom, spin round, and then he carried the kick on a knockout. Yeah. And he did it. And so don't tell me it doesn't work. And that's a traditional move. It's not just about a takedown or only a jab, only a cross, only an uppercut. Do you understand what I'm saying? When Anderson Silva's doing these moves, do you get what I'm saying? Remember that when he did that in the fight? And the guy put his guard together like that. So rather than try and go to uppercut, he just went below like that and went poof, right up the middle. You know what I'm saying? Dushed him right in his head. So traditional martial arts have plenty. Look at Venom Page. I know, he might have had some great results recently or whatever, but his style is direct, almost taekwondo. Do you know what I'm saying? In the way that he jumps in, jumps out. You know what I'm saying? It's very, so the practitioner. You know what I'm saying?
It's all up to the practitioner. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Chris Barnett, Surfy says, was the guy who did the move. So hopefully that's answered your question, Jaguar.
Chris Barnett. That's right. Yeah.
I think it's quite funny as well. Derek Lewis, when he throws them lead head kicks, you just look at the guy, you're like, there's no way he's gonna throw that, and he just spams the crap out of it, man. Jump and switch lead kicks to the head. You're like, what's going on here? But like you said, you take what works for you. Jaguar says, what's your opinion on the Grand Master Sensei Steven Seagal? Great question.
Oh boy, when his first film came out, I think it was called Nico in the UK. Yeah. What a film. When he punched that guy in the chest and the man's chest just collapsed in one time. So, Steven Seagal was like, he was the dude. But, and obviously he's got that Aikido background. You can watch black and white tapes of him in Japan doing his Aikido and all of that. So he's got genuine skill. Do you think
Aikido works?
Like I said, it's down to the practitioner. If you're employing it correctly, if you've used it in enough situations and you've adapted it to yourself, because it doesn't have to look pretty. It doesn't have to look like it can, and it's the intention of the move as it comes through might be different, but whatever, if it works, it works.
Yeah, of course.
So, he was claiming all some ex-CIA and this and that. I don't know if you heard them stories.
No.
He was claiming he was like some secret agent and inside knowledge and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. So I ain't going to diss him too hard, but yeah, it's Steven Seagal's, I don't know. Apparently he's Anderson Silva Sensei, innit? Sensei.
Yeah, he taught him the front kick, and he taught Leo Machida the front kick as well, apparently, yeah. I don't know about that. Apparently, I don't know, maybe they just kept him around just as a bit of fun. I'm not sure, but Surfy's got another question. We jump into weight cuts. Any dieting tips for weight cuts? Surfy, what do you mean by weight cuts? I guess he's either asking about before a match or maybe just in general dieting to lose weight. Any advice?
I'm not a great fan of weight cuts. I think they should change the rules. Do you know what I'm saying? I think they should weigh you an hour before or something like that, so that it just discourages the whole thing. Just get to your fight weight, and then that should be the weight. Because people can lose a lot of weight cutting weight. You know what I'm saying? There's kilos difference from when you're fighting weight to your, to the day of the fight, weigh into the fight. But effectively, there's a whole science behind it. If you want to get into it, if you want to do weight cuts properly, there's literally a whole science behind it, because it's all about water. You're not losing any weight effectively.
Yeah, I think
is the water. So if you can inflate yourself big enough, those cells big enough inside, and then on the day just dehydrate yourself enough, that because muscle carries bigger cells. It's all like a science behind it. So
he's saying as well. Yeah. What about for general just dieting and losing weight? What's the safe sort of way of doing it? Effective.
Listen, I always tell people the easiest thing you can do is intermittent fasting. Just start that. Don't worry about your diet too tough. Do you know what I'm saying? Just change when you're eating. So stop eating at say 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. and then don't eat again until say 11, 12 p.m. the next day. Skipping breakfast, whatever. Well, I mean, nothing. Just water. If you want, have a green tea or a black coffee, no sugar, all of that. Yeah. Try that. Intermittent fasting. People should research that. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that will have amazing results for you. Yeah. And dieting wise, that's an individual thing. I mean, there's a lot of different things to it, but you need to limit your carbohydrates is probably a good thing. You want to get a lot more fats involved in your diet, good fats, quality fats, so the body can survive on that kind of thing.
Okay. Great answer. To be honest, I've done intermittent fasting as well in the past. It's worked for me. Your HGH production goes up as well during that time when you're doing intermittent fasting. If you can do it for 12 hours or 14 hours, you actually get more gains and you get quite lean and strong at the same time. So I can vouch for that 100%. Final question we got from Rhino says, how do you stay motivated while you're at the gym?
I don't know. I've always found that weird because I guess I've always enjoyed training. Motivation for me is more about going rather than at. So if I'm at the gym, I'm loving it. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm loving every second of it, good and bad, whatever. It's all good. Yeah. I think the motivation part is more to do with getting yourself up and out and at the gym. Do you know what I'm saying? And I always tell people, force yourself. You know, at that point, if you can get into that routine, you know, that day when you just think, oh, I just can't bother today. No joke, force yourself. Oh, whatever, just get it. Even if you just think to yourself, let me just get to the door and I will literally touch the door of the gym and walk away. Yeah. If you can just force yourself to do that, just get to the door and touch that door, I guarantee you'll go in and you 100% of the time always feel better afterwards. You always think, you know what, I'm glad I did that. Every single time. Why? Because it releases endorphins. And anyway, logically, you start thinking, well, I've done a good thing and da-da-da. So, you know, motivation is all about getting yourself there. What was it I heard the other day? There's two things. It's consistency and what was the other one? There was another C. I can't remember. It was like one of them, Conor McGregor's. What's Conor McGregor's trainer? It was one of his things.
It's not John Kavanagh, is it? Is that his trainer now? Oh, it is that one, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I can't remember what his second thing was, but it was good. It was a good one. Basically, it's about starting something and then having the consistency to carry it on.
Okay.
You know.
All right, brilliant. Yeah.
2 things you need to do.
Yeah. All right. Hopefully, Rhino, that's answered your question. So, if it says, cheers, really appreciate the advice. And Jaguar also was thanking you earlier for answering his question. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll try and do a longer one next time. I'm feeling it. If you guys are feeling it as well, if Mr. B is available as well, we'll see if we can schedule in a longer one. I've got so many questions flying through my mind at the minute. Thanks so much, Mr. B, man.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for everyone for coming and asking the questions as well. I appreciate it.
And if you guys want to drop anything in the comments after the video, any topics you want him to cover next week, we'll try and do this a regular Tuesday thing. And yeah, we'll see where it goes, man. Thanks so much, Mr. B, man. I appreciate your time. Always got the knowledge. I'm gonna apply that tomorrow to boxing. Watch, I'm gonna go in just like Spartan mindset when I get there. It's gonna be like, yo, it's on. When I hit them bags, bro, I'm gonna get the spirit of Mike Tyson in my punches, man. And just if I get tired, I get tired, man. Whatever. No more fear, bro.
Yeah, just set it up before you start. You know, you're all good. You got this.
I got this. All right, thanks so much, Kazi. Catch you soon. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.